And now, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda ji commences tonight's satsang with a Sanskrit peace chant.
Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We begin with mystic song by Sri Swami Lalitananda, played and sung by Sri Swami Umananda and Rajneesh.
Our song tonight is called Life is a Delight.
One day a sage told me, life is a delight, D-E-L-I-G-H-T. So the sage said, D is for discipline in your life, never forget your duties. Is for energy that comes from God. Use it well each day. L is for life that is precious to all. Do not hurt man or animals. I is intelligence that you should use each day, but not for selfish reasons. G is for God, who is perfect and pure, unchanging beyond time and space. H is for harmony that makes life worthwhile. T is for truth that is one. But sages say it in different ways. So said a sage, that's my guru, that's my guru, Swami Jyotirmayananda. And I know life is a delight, D-E-L-I-G-H-T.
We are recording from the ashram of our revered Guru, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda ji in Miami, Florida. Today is March the 5th, 2021, Friday evening, and tonight Swamiji will be lecturing on the Tulsi Ramayana. This is Series 2016, class number 242. And now, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda ji.
Om Nilambuya Shyamal Komalangam Sita Samaropit Vamabhagam Panavu Maha Sayak Charu Chapam Namami Ramam Raghuvanshanatham. Adorations to Lord Rama, whose complexion is like a blue lotus, very tender and delightful in appearance. Sita is seated on his left side, He's carrying powerful bow and arrow in his hands. Sri Ramcharitmanas by Goswami Tulsidas ji in Ayodhya Kand, and we are moving towards verse number 320. The context at this stage is Bharata has agreed to return to Ayodhya, and all the royal parties that came along with Bharata, along with King Janaka, all the parties now, they are going backward to their source. Bharata is going to Ayodhya, King Janaka is going to his Janakpuri. प्रभु सिय लखन बैठी बट छाही प्रिय परिजन वियोग बिलखाही. Sri Rama, Sita and Lakshmana under the big banyan tree, enjoying the shade of the tree, seated there. But experiencing pangs of separation from near and dear ones. First you have to understand, Rama, Sita and Lakshmana all together. Rama is jnana at the highest stage. Rama represents jnana as sadhana as well as jnana as the goal. Sita Devi is viveka buddhi, intuitive intellect. From allegorical point of view, Sita Devi is the embodiment of divine love. Sita Devi loves Rama. Viveka Buddhi loves Brahman. So Sri Rama is with Sita Devi. Lakshmana is dhyana movement. And dhyana movement is characterized by viveka and vairagya and abhyasa. Abhyasa is repeated practice. Vairagya, dispassion. So dhyana movement builds strength in your mind, strength of will. So these three characters are there together. Yes, they are intrinsically divine, absolutely free of all limitations. And they are not three, they are one, Brahman, the Absolute. But playing the role of human embodiment, they are presenting an exemplary life. So, exemplary life is that you are touched by love, goodness of the heart, and you live your life to discover divine love in every endearing relationship. So, acting like human beings, Maryada Purushottam, Sri Rama is expressing his feelings before Sita Devi and Lakshmanji, before his divine consort and his brother Lakshmana. प्रभु सिय लखन बैठी बट छाही, प्रिय परिजन वियोग बिल खाही, भरत स्नेह सुभाउ सुबानी, प्रिया अनुज सन कहत बखानी. And he is constantly praising Bharata. Turning his gaze to Sita Devi and Lakshmana. He is talking with them, but the topic of his conversation is love of Bharata. Love of Bharata, again, from broad point of view, is the importance of bhakti, devotion to God. प्रीति प्रतीति बचन मन करनी, श्रीमुख राम प्रेम बस बरनी, तेहि अवसर खग मृग जल मीना, चित्रकूट चर अचर मलीना. Overwhelmed by Bharata's love, Sri Rama is talking about all the divine characteristics that expressed through Bharata. And how do they express? Through your words. If you have divine enrichment and you have bhakti in your heart, it influences your words, your mind, your thoughts and sentiments, and your actions. Vachana man karma. And Sri Rama is glorifying all the three aspects of Bharata. His words, the way he thought about Rama, the way he felt about Rama, and about his practical conduct. And whatever Rama was talking, as if his words were communing with all the birds, animals, fishes. They all became sad. When Rama is sad, then all is sad. And that's a subtle point to understand, that if you develop devotion in your heart and walk in nature, you will find all animals, birds, fishes, trees, all of them are enjoying the divine presence. Ghat ghat mein hai Sai Ramata. In every name and form, there is divine within. So you'll feel experience of thrill. Another aspect, when you begin to miss the thrill, you also look at the same creation as if the whole creation is suffering. The birds are singing, animals, fishes, they are all creating their own noises. But behind the noises, they are all missing Rama. So you are superimposing your vira, your sense of separation from God, on all creatures around you. It's a pathetic fallacy. If you have a headache, you want to turn to everyone sympathizing with their head. So the whole world is waiting to be thrilled by Rama's presence. And as bhakti advances in your heart, you begin to enjoy inspiration coming from all that is in the world around you. Vibhuta viloki dashabras guru baraki barasi suman kahi gati ghar ghar ki. Seeing Rama's condition, how he is overwhelmed by the love of Bharata, and he is missing Bharata. Gods have started showering flowers, and along with the showering of flowers, the gods are also presenting their problems. Prabhu pranam kari kin bharoso, chale mudit man dar na karoso. Lord Rama offered adorations to the gods and gave them confidence that he is going to fulfill the mission of gods. That is to say, he will destroy Ravana. Ravana is ignorance, along with the forces of darkness. Gods receiving these words of confirmation that demons were going to be destroyed by Rama, they became fearless. There was no fear in their heart anymore. Sanuja siya sameta prabhu rajat paran kutir bhagati jnana vairagya janu sohat dhare sarir. Sri Ramji, along with his brother Lakshmana and wife Sita, they are shining in Parnakutir. In their cottage. How are they shining? As if Vairagya, Bhakti and Jnana, they have express themselves in embodiments. They have become, in brief, Lakshmana is the embodiment of Vairagya. Sita Devi is the embodiment of bhakti, love, devotion. And Rama is the embodiment of jnana. All these three are there together in the leafy cottage of Rama's ashram. Muni Mahisur Gur Bharat Bhualu Rama Virah Sab Saju Bihalu Prabhu Gunagram Ganata Manamahi Sab Chup Chap Chale Magajahi. All those who are going on to return to their residences, sages, Brahmins, Guru Vasishtha, Bharata, King Janaka, and all the society that came with them, they are all experiencing pangs of separation from Rama, Rama Vira. And their mind is filled with remembrance of Rama's divine virtues, who are being given an insight into what type of experience awaits you when bhakti begins to advance in your heart. Love of God. Love of God creates both. One side, thrill, amazing thrill your mind cannot imagine, unimaginable thrill, as well as unimaginable sense of separation from God. When mind turns to this present predicament, if you are not already enlightened, your predicament is led by sadhana. When sattva increases, you begin to be inspired by the vision that all this is permeated by God. So that's the one side, gives you great inspiration. The day you have that type of sattvic development in your sadhana, you walk out and the birds sing and you look at them and you are adoring God in them. You are adoring God in the blossoms, God in the breeze. Shower of His grace comes in the rim-jim rain. The whole thing is so inspiring. But there are times when your mind is not overwhelmed with sattva, and yet you are devotee of God. Then suddenly you begin to miss that experience. This is not ordinary emotional trouble. This is a divinely healthy characteristic of real health. When you are really healthy, then you experience the pangs of separation from your food. I mean, when you are hungry, you have good appetite. But hunger is not, is not a free of discomfort. Hunger is full of discomfort. Nevertheless, it is most comforting to your heart. Figure that out. So, when you discover you have a hunger for divine love, it's a tremendously advanced characteristic of progress in your sadhana. All are going on to their journey back, and in their mind they are constantly thinking about Rama and Rama's virtuous qualities. Rama is God, Brahman. Jamuna utari par sab gapayahu, so basaru bin bhojan gayahu. These are details of their journey back, and they give a spice to this storyline. First day, they all were able to cross Yamuna river. During that day, they fasted. Now their whole life is dedicated to Smaran, remembering Rama. When you say remember Rama, remember God, it is not a dry experience, because when you remember God, you are being touched by divine virtues, divine qualities, divine compassion. Rama is full of compassion. Rama is embodiment of humility. Rama is Bambhola. He is childlike. So you can always, even if you scold him, and you can use all the different forms of bhakti. That's bhakti that gives you shantarasa. You experience divine love in the state of tranquility and peace. Bhakti that expresses through vatsalya rasa, like parents loving a child. God begins to give you all this type of fulfillment, satisfaction. Or bhakti that gives you the delight of relationship between, if you are having a job, you create a delightful relation with your boss. It's called dasya rasa, literally meaning God is the master and you are just an instrument in his hand. So that type of dasa state you begin to enjoy. And Matri stage, God is a friend. So imagine all these sentiments are waiting in your heart. And finally, God is sweetest love, madhurya rasa. So all these rasas, they begin to blend in different proportions when you are developing love of God. And when we say remember God, the word remember is not just a parrot's repetition of the same sound again and again. Parrot goes on saying Ram, 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 Ram. But when cat is around, it forgets all about it. I'm saying it quickly. The ideal has to be understood and you work for it. In other words, when you recite divine name, it should not be boring. It should not develop a dryness in your heart. And if you fail, doesn't matter. Do it again, do it again. Enjoy more satsanga and try to bring out a divine feeling within your heart. If it is not there, imagine, visualize, and suddenly you will be surprised. Even the slightest degree of divine feeling entering your heart brings transformation in your life in a profound way. So that type of life, all those people began to live. A life embellished by divine smaran, remembrance of God. So first stage, they crossed over Yamuna river. Second stage, they crossed over Ganges river. And then in a storyline, they went into Shringaverapur. That's the capital city of Nishad Raj Guha. Guha created all arrangements for their comfort and for their relaxed time. Sain utari gomati nahaye, chauthe divasha badapur aaye. And then they went into Gomati river and took their baths. On fourth day, they reached Ayodhya. Janaku rahe purbasar chari, Ram kaj sab saj sambhari. King Janaka and his wife and some other people with Janaka, they stayed in Ayodhya for a few days. Then Chari for about 4 days. Why did they stay? King Janaka wanted to ease Bharata's responsibility. Bharata's responsibility was to have a good management in the rulership of Ayodhya. Ruling Ayodhya was Ramakaj. That was what Rama has given him, his instruction. And following the instruction of Rama was Bharata's main duty. And towards the performance of that duty, King Janaka gave all the advice and all his wisdom and all his practical skill. Saupi sachiva gur bharatahi raju, teruti chale saji sab saju. Leaving Bharata to rule over the kingdom Bharata along with his Guru Vasishtha and with minister, royal minister. King Janaka had made perfect arrangements for paving the way to the rulership of Bharata over Ayodhya. Nagar Narig Nar Gurusika Mani Base Sukhen Rama Rajadhani. People in Ayodhya, men and women, they followed the instructions that were given to them, waiting for Rama's return in 14 years. But during this time, they began to live under the rulership of Bharata in a joyous way. Ram daras lagi log sab karat nem upavas taji taji bhushan bhoga sukh jiyat avadhi ki aas. All people who had met Rama and have been blessed with his darshan, now they are all separated from Rama. And they know that Rama will come back in 14 years. But how to spend that time in separation from Rama? During this time of separation, they live their life with the practice of yoga sadhana. Yamas, niyamas, asana, pranayam. And they also observed fast. All these austerities that are needed for developing devotion, promoting love of God. The central guideline in austerities is that integral yoga must enter in your daily life. Your actions, the duties that you do, they should not separate you from your love for God. Rather, you must consider your duties as a stream of adoration. Even when you are feeding yourself, you are offering to God who abides in your heart. Brahmarpanam brahmahavi, brahmagnau brahmanahutam. It's a Gita's statement. Consider everything is Brahmarpanam, you are offering to Brahman. Brahman is the fire, given an allegorical setting, as if you are creating a ritual. That fire is Brahman. What you are pouring is Brahman. The mantra you are reciting is Brahman. Where you are being led is Brahman. This type of internal development that turns karma into karma yoga. And similarly, your sentiments must follow bhakti yoga, love of God. Every love that you have, tender love for so many things, so many relatives, even towards humanity. that tender love is constantly being challenged. Love of God allows you to enjoy a ceaseless sense of divine sweetness in your heart. But that becomes your goal as you experience loving relations, how you should deal with your loving relations. How should you encourage people to be good, to be kind? How to help people to become aware that everyone has God within him as his essential nature. In other words, same relationships with spiritual sensitivity in your heart. Your whole movement becomes like Basantavat lokahite charanta, like a spirit of spring. And that leads people to what is best for them automatically. सचिव सुसेवक भरत प्रबोधे निज निज काज पाई सिख ओधे. Bharata especially instructed his ministers and his attendants regarding how to manage Ayodhya in the absence of Lord Rama. And they all became busy carrying out the behests of Bharata. Bharata then called his younger brother Shatrughna and instructed him to stay with mothers and offer his services to them. You must understand that Bharata had his capital center for his rulership in Nandigram, at a distance from capital city of Ayodhya. And there he had created a little cave-like structure, installed Rama's sandals representing Rama's presence. In Nandikram, Bharata lived a life of austerity. And at the same time was ruling over Ayodhya in all details. Bhusur boli Bharata kar jore, kari pranam vaya vinaya vinirore, unch neech karju bhala pochu, आय सुदेव न करब संकोचु. And he gave a special talks for Brahmins. Brahmins are adorable personalities. that they should communicate with Bharata without hesitation regarding any of their needs. And all of them, rich or poor, high or low, no one should hesitate from communicating with Bharata. He opened himself to everyone. Parijan purijan praja bolaye, samadhan kari subas basaye, sanuj ge sur ge bahori, kari dandavat kahat kar jori. Bharata brought settlement, relaxed status to people who were his near and dear ones, citizens, and all those who abode in Ayodhya. Having settled everything, Bharata, along with his brother Shatrugna, came to Guru Vasishtha, and having offered adorations with folded hands, Bharata said, Asu ayasu hoi tarahon sanema, bole muni tanam pulaki sapema. O sage, with your permission, I will like to live my life sanema, with the practice of niyamas. It's a witty term, sanema and cinema. Sanema means you are living in such a way that you are following the paths of yamas, niyamas, asanas in a highly disciplined, spiritually disciplined manner. But the more you live in a disciplined way, greater is your ability to look at the world as a cinema show. So, allow to live sanema in order to enjoy cinema. The more sanema, the more well-designed life you live, greater is your detachment from the world. But when you don't live your life with sanema, you don't have your japa, you don't have your meditation, you don't have your, whatever way you have designed your sadhana. Your sadhana must be done day by day. Then you are sanema, and the world goes on turning into cinema. Sage Vasishtha was thrilled by Bharata's character. And he said, "O Bharata, you are the embodiment of dharma. Whatever you say, whatever insight you have in your heart, it will be most adorable. Sunisicapai asisa badi ganakaboli binusadhi Singhasan Prabhu Paduka Baitare Nirupadi. Thus, having received blessings of Vasishtha, Bharata, on an auspicious day and an auspicious time, placed the 2 sandals of Lord Rama's feet on the throne in the cottage where he had planned to stay for 14 years. That's Nandigram. Nandi is Ananda, bliss. Nandigram is the abode of bliss. That also has a subtle implication. And I will conclude at this stage. Om Ram 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 Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om. Prayer for shower of Karunamaya Ras, grace of God over all of you, with the blessings of Shakti, Bhakti and Mukti. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukum Vabandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashchid Dukbhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Are there any questions tonight? Then we conclude.
Om Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Thank you, Swamiji.
Yeah.